It is just a huge honor for me today to be podcast interviewing Dr. Jessica Brereton Peterkin, DMD, MA, known as Dr. Jess B. She is the founder and CEO of Breton Family Dental and Ministry of Dentistry. Dr. Jessica received her undergraduate degree from Bethune-Cookman University, where she studied chemistry, graduating from the honors program as a member of the Dean's List. Upon graduation, she completed her master's degree in Biomedical Sciences at Midwestern University here in Arizona. She then went on to receive her Doctorate of Dental Medicine from Midwestern University, Illinois, While in dental school, Dr. Peterkin participated in numerous organizations and volunteered countless hours of community service, of which she earned the Leadership Award, presented by the International College of Dentists and Procter & Gamble. During dental school and throughout her professional career, she has been recognized for outstanding service and speaking opportunities. She's a member of multiple professional organizations, including the ADA, the Arizona Dental Association, Academy of General Dentistry, as well as the National Council of Negro Women. When not practicing dentistry, Dr. Peterkin enjoys spending time with her family, which includes her husband, son, and their puppy, Reese's. Is that like named after a Reese's peanut butter cup?
Yeah.
They enjoy traveling the world, exploring the outdoors, and performing arts. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
So I can't believe my classmate, who I had on the show, is now the dean over at Midwestern University in Chicago. She used to be here, but you went to undergraduate at Midwestern University here, but you went to Chicago for dental school?
I did. So I had the rare opportunity to be a part of the inaugural class. So our graduating class was the class of 2015. So that unique opportunity allowed me to be of the first class to be graduated from that College of Dental Medicine, Illinois. So it was a wonderful opportunity, and I'm very close to my classmates still to this day. So I'm thankful for being able to go to that campus to obtain my dental medicine degree.
And what year was that?
2015, class of 2015. So I
Class of
matriculated in
2015.
2011, actually. It's been a while.
So Midwestern in Chicago, so Midwestern in Glendale here in your backyard was first, and then the one in Chicago came later.
Yeah, it did. And even though that's the flagship campus, the Downers Grove campus is the first Midwestern campus, but the dental school started here in Arizona, and then they started a second one out there in 2011. So.
And what was your thoughts of it? I mean, did you like the school? Did you have a good experience?
I really did. So I grew up, I always tell people I'm from Arizona. So I grew up in Florida and Arizona half of my life. In both states. And so going to Illinois was an adventure in and of itself, being a girl from, the hot states, so, Florida for the humidity, Arizona for the sunshine. And so going there to, blizzard winters, it was quite the adventure, but it's a melting pot out there in Chicago. So I had a wonderful time when I wasn't studying, and the university itself was very helpful. My classmates were altruistic, and so were the faculty. So it definitely helped me to succeed. And create the building blocks necessary for me to be the dentist that I am today.
I really wanted you to get on the show because I really feel like, I graduated in 87. I'm old enough to be your dad, or I hope not your grandpa, but definitely your dad. And a lot of people look back at, my class of 87 that we graduated in a much easier time. Like when I got to Arizona, it didn't have water fluoridation. It didn't have any dental schools. Either did our neighbors in Nevada and Utah. And now there's 2 dental schools, fluoride in the water. It's a much different environment now. And you came out, recently. 2015. It sounds like when you're like me, 58, that sounds like yesterday. But for you, you probably think, hey, I've been a doctor for 6 years. But 6 years, you're still a baby. What advice do you have? There's a lot of kids in dental school that are going to be coming out with $400,000 of student loans in the middle of a pandemic, and they're sitting there thinking, come on, Jess B, this is, did I make a bad decision to become a dentist now as opposed to 30 years ago? What would you say to that person?
I would say, no, you did not. It's being in dental school, of course, it's expensive. I'm sure it was expensive back then relative to, what a good earning was back then. Obviously things have changed quite a bit since then because of inflation. But either way, I think dentistry in and of itself, going to dental school is an investment. And so as long as you, play your cards right, that you make financially wise decisions, you can still have the freedom that you wish to have. And there's other alternatives to be able to pay for school. You don't just have to just pay, cash or through loans. You can also do the National Health Service Corps scholarship. There's Army scholarships out there. So there's other ways and modalities to be able to pay for school. Or if you decide to go on the other end and do student loan forgiveness, you can go work in an underserved community and have those loans paid back. I think there's a lot of opportunity to be able to help with the financial aspect. And so I don't feel like that should be the focus. Dentistry in and of itself has grown tremendously, and I expect that it will continue to grow, especially for those that are coming up behind me. There's so many dentists retiring now. I think there's a niche, but we just have to, play our cards right and be smart about our finances.
But oh, by the way, did you ever meet Rebecca Cecil or Rebecca Cecil?
No, I didn't.
She is the associate dean at Downers Grove, Illinois College of Dental Medicine, Arizona, and she was my classmate. She, absolutely, I don't know who would be smarter than her in her class. She was just an amazing person. But she had her own private practice in St. Louis, and she crushed it. And then her kids are raised, and she decided to have a new life. And she sold her practice and moved to Phoenix and got a job at Midwestern. And now they promoted her to associate dean at Chicago, and she just loves it. And what's funny is she actually thought, I'm tired of all the work, owning your own practice. I'm just going to take a break and relax and go be a teacher. And she's like, are you kidding me? This job is 3 times harder than running your own practice. But I think it's so cool. I look at all the people that I know here in town that teach full-time or part-time in those schools, and they're really dedicated to the mission. I mean, they'd make a ton, like so many of them work Monday through Thursday, and that's how they make a great living. But they go in there Friday for some day rate of that. They could have opened up their office and done one MOD composite and been done for the day.
Right.
But they say that Friday, for the price of one filling, is their most rewarding day. And I think that speaks volumes of the students that are attracted to dentistry. I'm always amazed at the cream of the crop of kids that we get to go into dentistry.
Absolutely. I think so.
Yeah. So you now walk through your journey. When you got out of school, did you start with a residency? Did you go? Tell us about your journey from now to owning your own practice right here in Phoenix, Arizona, which is Breton Family Dental. Tell us your journey.
Okay, so my journey was quite interesting. I started off in corporate dentistry, but I worked in a corporate dental office that kind of had an independent associateship opportunity. So my name was on the door. So to patients, it looked like I owned the practice. I was the sole provider, and I had the opportunity to be able to manage a team of, I think we had like 2 dental assistants and 1.5 hygienists, and we had 2 front office. So I was able to do that for about 1.5 years. And then in that, I learned how to practice on my own and gain the confidence necessary to be able to provide care without leaning necessarily on another dentist. And then after I did that, I ended up going on maternity leave. I had my son, who's now 4 years old, but I went on a 4-month maternity leave and didn't practice dentistry at all during that time. And then shortly after, I decided not to go back to corporate. I wanted to work in private practice. So I moved from from corporate to private practice dental office that was in Sun City. And I actually had the opportunity to only treat geriatric patients. Literally, like every patient was either a snowbird or someone who was already retired. And so we did a lot of full mouth rehabilitation cases, a lot of, all-on-4 hybrid cases, and just got a good feel of, basically rehabilitating the worn dentition. I did that for about 1 year. I wanted to do it a little bit longer, but sometime between that year and when I went on maternity leave, I was doing pedo on the weekends here and there, and I started to become a little bit more interested because in dental school, I had a lot of pediatric experience. Everyone knew I was going to go to pedo residency. So I decided I want to do pedo. I went to do pedo all the way up until I started my practice. I did pediatric dentistry in a private practice, a small group practice for a while, and then I went into public health and worked actually with the Brighter Way Institute, which they're amazing. They do not only pediatric dentistry, but dentistry for the homeless here in Arizona. So I worked there. I was really passionate about what I was doing, but I missed the adult patients. And so I decided to open Brereton Family Dental and basically used all of my skill sets from that corporate dentistry opportunity where I was able to run a general dentist practice all the way to geriatric patient care from that Sun City office, and then pediatric. So here in my office, I provide care to patients ages 0 to 100 and everything in between, and do all scopes of dentistry in each of those subdivisions. So pretty much building smiles for a lifetime.
Wow. And that brighter way, that's Chris Volchek.
Yes, yes.
Oh my God. That
He's an amazing
for me,
guy.
that's my man crush. I love that guy.
Exactly.
And I figured him out because we're both the same age, but not the same time. But he went the route of public health,
Mm-hmm.
and he's been doing all that. And I figured out what it was. I mean, he was born in Globe, Arizona, a mining town, and it
Yeah.
kind of reminds me of that famous quote by Roosevelt's uh, inauguration speech. I should read it. The test of our progress is not whether we add more to the abundance of those like Howard who have too much. It is whether we provide enough for those who have too little. And I just think it's so cool when people, everybody wants to talk about, the famous guy with a jet and a big house and all the trappings of that. But my God, half of America does not live like the other half. And I've lectured in 50 countries. And I mean, I can't believe how bizarre it was to see the favela in Rio de Janeiro. And I was talking to an anthropologist there who just happened to be on the same vacation and staying in the same place. And he was telling me that you could take it to the bank that this is pretty much how humans lived 500 years ago. And you're basically going back 500 years in time if you just take away a radio or a few electronic devices. But I just love Chris Volchek, how he was always motivated to help the poor.
Mm-hmm.
And then you did something even greater than that. You like pediatric dentistry. Are you out of your mind? I would rather work at Taco Bell. If I had to be a pediatric dentist, I'd burn my own license. Where does that come from? You just decided you want to wake up and hear screaming kids all day?
No, so I just feel like it definitely takes a special person to have an interest in working with children. But I started working with children at a younger age. I was a camp counselor when I was in high school. I used to teach dance to the little ones when I was in Chicago. And then my husband's actually a teacher too. So I just really love working with children. And one of the things that I realized is that it takes a special touch, and it takes a special sort of compassion to be able to work with them. And when I was working in the corporate dental office, we had a pediatric dentist that would come in a couple times a week, but then he ended up having to leave, and he taught me everything that he knew, and it further piqued my interest. I actually started the Give Kids a Smile program at my university in Illinois too. So it kind of started there, but I learned pedo from the dentist, Dr. Douglas Kerr here in Arizona. And then from there, I was like, man, I really like the kids. Now, don't get me wrong, the dentistry in and of itself is not very exciting. I mean, stainless steel crowns and pulpotomies is not exciting. But just connecting with the child and being able to not put on airs and just talk to them how you feel at that moment and how they're feeling at that moment. It has a certain level of genuineness to it that just feels like right. And we're able to watch Disney movies throughout the day while we're treating these kids. It's just really fun, but I can't do it all the time, so that's why I combined it in my practice to where I see children, but then I still treat adults as well.
Well, more power to you. Like I say, I just have the utmost respect for anybody that can do that. That is just so challenging to do. When you said you came out of school and you worked for corporate first, was that in Chicago, or were you already come back to Arizona? And were you born in Arizona? Which one did you root? Chicago, Arizona?
No, so actually I was okay. So I'm a middle child, and my older and younger siblings were all born in Florida. I am the only child of 6 that was born in Arizona. How did it happen? My mom and dad decided to move here because they thought it would be a great idea. And my mom was pregnant with me. She had me, and then they didn't like it and moved back to Florida. So long story short, I was born here. I was born at Maryvale Samaritan Hospital. But then I grew up in Miami until my parents divorced, and then I moved back here. When I finished high school, I moved back to Florida and obtained my college degree, and that's where I met my husband. So pretty much half of my family lives in Florida, half of them here. So I'm a Florizona girl. Illinois just happened to be a place of adventure that accepted me into their dental school, and so that's kind of how I ended up there. But yes.
But I want
I'm
you to be completely honest, be truthful. Don't you think your siblings born in Florida are crazier than the ones that was born in Arizona? I mean,
I'm
I
the only
think
one
I
that was
mean, if you
born.
watch the
So yeah, I
news,
guess so. I'm the best of the children. So no, I'm
oh
just
my God,
kidding.
you watch the news, Florida is the official batshit crazy state. You know why it
I
is the,
know.
but you know why it is the batshit crazy? I mean, the devil, the details, the devil's always in the details. They're the only state that's totally transparent with all their records. So the journalists, so if you're sitting there on your laptop trying to write a story for Sacramento, you're not going to find much from many of those sites. It's the same thing with the NFL. Do you realize the reason I wanted the Green Bay Packers to win it all? They're the only NFL that's transparent. It's owned by a nonprofit in Green Bay. And if it wasn't for Green Bay, you wouldn't have any metrics, because when they file their 10K reports or whatever, they give you all the information about the NFL, which you won't even get from the NFL. And people just don't realize, if you talk to a sports journalist, if it wasn't for Green Bay, we wouldn't know half of what we know about the NFL as far as money, marketing, budgets, ceiling caps, all these things that are secrets, except for Green Bay. And so what were your thoughts when you were working for a DSO? I mean, some people go in there and say, okay, they know that most dentists have a very challenging time running their own office. And then you got these other people that are managing 500 to 1,000 offices. And I'm like, well, how could you not learn from someone running 500 offices to run your own? But attitude determines your altitude and your aptitude. And so if you go in there with this horrible attitude, you don't learn anything. But how would you say your journey was through the DSOs? And how long did it take you before you were owner occupied? If you graduated in 2015, when did Breton Family Dental open?
In 2019 is when I opened the doors, in June actually, of 2019. But prior to that, I created the S Corporation in 2018 and was looking for a place. So it took me about a year for it to materialize from 2018. But I feel that the DSO experience, I mean, that was 3 years from when I graduated, that I started the journey of trying to, materialize having my own practice. And the DSO experience, it was tough because I feel like sometimes it's like a sink or swim type of situation, especially if you're not with certain companies. Certain companies will pair you with another senior dentist to kind of help show you the ropes. But in this particular scenario, I didn't have that support. But for me, the type of person that I am a self-start. So like, if you tell me I need to get started and I'm thrown in there, I'm just gonna like do what I need to do and try and figure it out. It's part of my dance background, being an athlete. You just do what you have and keep it moving. And so I kind of learned those skills early on and just kind of applied it in that experience. So I don't think everyone necessarily has that experience, but again, like you said, it's like based on your attitude. If you go in there with an open mind, like I'm going to learn as much as I can. This may not be my forever job, but I'm for darn sure will learn everything I need so that I can have a better career, then it should prepare you. Every experience that I've had leading up to me having my own practice has helped prepare me for this moment and has helped to help me decide what I wanted my culture for my office to be, what kind of care I wanted to provide, what things did work and didn't work. And from there. And to be honest, like there's people that I met along the way who stopped working for certain places and then we reconnected later on and now they work for me here. So, I mean, I think that it, all comes back full circle.
I always like to podcast interview the DSO leaders because the kids in dental kindergarten ask me to, because they're going to come out of school and they got to pick one of these DSOs. So they like to see the man behind the name. And, but oh my God, every time I publish one, I just count the seconds for the emails to start coming in. Why are you promoting this guy? This, rah, rah, rah. And all through human history, no one wants competition. Everyone wants to rule the world. I mean, everybody wants to be a king, a queen, a dictator of the world according to them. And a lot of these dentists here in Arizona, They don't. In fact, I think most dentists don't even understand why they make so much money. I mean, if there wasn't for the Arizona State Board of Dental Examiners that has arrested every dentist from Mexico who's come up here and started a practice in Guadalupe, where they don't have one dentist in all of Guadalupe, because remember, the rich dentist from America, no dentist for Guadalupe is better than a dentist trained in Mexico. I mean, God forsake. I mean, so if it wasn't for that restraint of trade, with cars, when GM, Chrysler, and Ford make cars, they got to compete with Japan and Germany and Korea because they can ship these cars back and forth. But healthcare, one of the reasons healthcare and government are the most insanely bloated, dysfunctional institutions you could ever find, it's because they don't have any competition. And so when these dentists are talking about, that they make all this money because they're so damn smart, I'm like, I'm pretty sure you did a deal with the mob to set up the state boards, and they provided the mob protection to keep all the competition out. So it's not all like they think it is, crazy times. So I want to ask you the $1 million question that I get that I cannot answer. I always get young girls in dental school to say that they're troubled because you have a baby, you have a 4-year-old baby, and did you name it Breton Family Dental?
His name is actually Breton.
His first name is? Nice. His middle name's not Family Dental?
Not yet.
Oh
No.
my God, change his name.
My husband got dibs on the middle name.
But the only thing that matters, I mean, really at the end of the day, 100 billion humans have lived and died since mitochondrial Eve. And we don't know any of their names, thoughts. We don't know a thing about them. But their only job they were supposed to do is reproduce and have offspring. And we're here today because for 200,000 years, our species did their job. And that's telling that young girl that she wants to have a little Breton Family Dental baby. But would she be a better mom if she was an employee and didn't have all that ownership over her head and just did her Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, or be an owner operator? Because it's family first, dentistry second. So in a family first, dentistry second situation, would you advise her to be an owner operator or an employee?
Ooh, that's a hard question to answer because I think it just depends on the woman. I've tried to make my lifelong career as an associate, and I can only speak from my own personal experience and that of my friends as an associate. But the issue is that when you have some of these needs, you want to be able to, go to your child's recital or performance in the middle of the day, or you have a doctor's appointment that you want to take your child to. Sometimes it's hard to get off work. Now you may have, sick pay or, personal time and things like that, but you're on someone else's clock. For me, having my own practice, even though it does, put a ball and chain on my ankle as far as the responsibility is concerned, I honestly feel like I have more freedom on the front end because I can make my schedule what I want it to be. To be honest, some people don't like this thing about me, and it's okay, but my practice is only open Tuesday through Thursday. And a lot of people thought I was going to stay that way for initial because I was being an associate for another office, but in reality, I plan on keeping it that way. We have Fridays for VIP patients every now and then to provide care for, larger cases. But for the most part, Tuesday through Thursday is when I'm working. And outside of that, I'm home with my family. And it provides me the relief that I can go and bust my tail. I work hard Tuesday through Thursday. I bust my tail Tuesday through Thursday. I'm always tired Tuesday through Thursday. Don't call me on Tuesday through Thursday. But Friday through Monday, I'm able to be all in at home. And on the Fridays that I am working, it's half a day. And so I'm able to split that time perfectly and have that work-life balance. So I feel that, no matter where you are, whether you're in private practice for yourself or as an associate, you just have to prioritize what's important to you. For me, the freedom of being able to make my schedule, being able to run the office how I want, and being able to live that perfect work-life balance without being told, where I should be at any given moment. It's refreshing, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Now, is your husband, is he in dental too?
No, he's not. He's actually in education. So he currently is a educator for BASIS, which is a charter school program here in Arizona. But he's actually a PhD student at ASU as well. He's getting a PhD in education with a concentration in music. And so his desire is to go into, creating his own charter program eventually and also teaching at the collegiate level.
Okay, so now you got me wondering what's going on here because your husband's a music major and your name on Dental Town is DMD Dancer. Where?
I told you we like the arts.
So why is your name Dancer? Are you a dancer? Is that
I am. So okay, so I can say I was. So since I've had my son, not so much, but even when I was pregnant with him, I was still dancing. I used to be a part of a semi-professional dance company in Illinois. I also used to teach dance. I think I explained that earlier. I think I used to teach dance, ballet, jazz, tap, modern, for children out in Chicago. And so I have a desire in the future, not like right this moment, but in the next 5 to 10 years to have my own dance studio. Dance has been my outlet my entire life. And so that's like one of my true passions.
wow? And
Yeah.
that is amazing. Very amazing. I mean, dance. I think there's some people. I'm Irish, and I think we're missing the dance gene. I'm pretty positive that it was replaced with the red hair and the freckle. They took out the dance and put in the red hair and the freckle. But more power to you. And it's probably dang good exercise.
It is, definitely.
Yeah, and my friends that they say that golf for exercise, I always want to say, do you have a mirror at your house? I'm pretty sure you're not exercising. And whenever I go with them, the only thing I like about golf is that you can have a hot dog and a beer on each hole. And if I was ever going to be an Olympic athlete, it would definitely be curling. I want to do the sport where you could hold a beer and do your Olympic deal. So I want to ask you this. You posted a long time ago, you posted about the AEGD Lutheran Medical Center, Arizona. You said, as I embark on my 4th and final year of dental school in just a little over 2 months, I've been taking time to thoroughly research possible options post-graduation. These include AEGD, GPRs, with plans to practice in your home state of Arizona. So my question is, what would your advice be to the AEGD, the GPRs? They got $400,000 of student loans. Would you recommend that? Would you recommend just get a DSO job? I graduated on May 11 and I had my office open September 21. It took me
Wow.
4 months to do it,
Wow.
but I'm a little on the hyper side. So what would you recommend, knowing everything you know now? What would you recommend?
I'm always going back to that. It depends, but it's like the best way to say it. Because for me, I'm a quick start, so I want to like get going. I don't want to spend time in anyone's lecture or talking to people. I want to just get to treating patients. So, but if you're not good, if you have, you feel like you need more hand skills, you need more, assistance in getting exposure. You're not kind of like, for me, I'm more like I focused on what's the word? In school, I focused on making sure that I built my technique because at that time I had all the time in the world to build my technique. And then when I graduated, I focused on speed. Some people still don't have that technique portion down pat, and I feel like those times are when it's necessary to do an AEGD, or a GPR. Obviously, if you want more implant experiences and things like that, where you have more advanced case experiences, of course, GPR or AEGD, if they offer those types of experiences, would be beneficial. But for me, I just knew I wanted to do bread and butter dentistry for the most part and probably do some more CEs later to get any advanced skill set. And the DSO opportunity definitely worked for me. I was able to see a normal schedule of patients and provide that care and build my speed over time. And so I think it just depends on what you prioritize and where you are. You have to be honest with yourself around graduation, whether or not you have the confidence to just go out there and provide care, or whether or not you still need a little bit more support to help you through and navigate your career as a dentist.
And so your website is Breton Fam. So it's BRETON FAM, Breton Fam. And you basically, you like tooth colored, root canals, crowns, oral surgery. The thing that stuck out on me the most is when I podcast interview these owners of DSOs, it's amazing how they consider bread and butter dentistry that kind of like public health. That look, 8.5% of emergency room visits are odontogenic in origin. So if you can't handle a toothache and get them out of pain with an extraction or a root canal, you're not a real doctor, and they're going to have to go to the emergency room to see a real doctor, and dentists will say, well, I don't do root canals. Could you imagine showing them to the hospital with a broken arm and they say, we don't do arms.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
we
Right.
don't like doing arms. We decided that we just don't want to do arms. And these people will look at a office and, my gosh, when they open up an office within 6 months, if it's not, here, I want to make sure I'm quoting it right. If they're not doing 7 root canals a month, extractions is a must. And then the basics, the crown and bridge and fillings and cleanings and all that's extra. But if they're not doing 7 root canals a month, they immediately just try to give that, greater full theory. It's like today, if you own Tesla stock, hopefully you're drunk or you're in grammar school. I don't know who else you would be. I mean, Tesla, if you sold Tesla at its market cap today, you could buy every other car company known to man. You could buy Chrysler, Ford, Chevy, General Motors, Toyota, Lexus. You could buy the 3 ones in India. You could buy them all. So to say Tesla is not overvalued. In fact, when we look at price earnings ratios, Warren Buffett always said they should be 6 to 7 years. And a lot of people say, well, did you just pull that number out of a hat? Well, I'm Irish. And when our descendants came over here in 1845, a lot of them, the only way they got a ride was they had to be an indentured servant for 6 or 7 years when they got here. So there's a lot to that. If you got out of school and I said, hey, if you come work for free in my office for 7 years, I'll give you the whole damn office. A lot of dentists would take me up on that. But Tesla's trading at 1,500 times earnings. So that'd be like saying, hey, if you come work for me for 1.5 millenniums, I mean, it's insane. So the dental offices, they do the same thing. If they set up a dental office and it's not doing 7 root canals a month and blah, 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 greater full theory, they just sell it to someone else. So my question to you is, I know half the kids come out and they already hate endo, and they did like 1. And they just said, I'm not doing molar endo. No, I'm not pulling a tooth. I don't like that stuff. And they're a doctor. Public health is one of the 12 specialties. What would you say to some kid? They obviously have a scar somewhere from a root canal. I assume the MB2 bit him in the butt or something went wrong. But what would you say to that kid with $400,000 student loans, 8.5% of Arizona emergency room visits are odontogenic organ, and she's starting her own practice? She's already decided she's not doing root canals or extractions.
I was going to say something that was funny, but I'll cut that.
No, say it. I want to hear that.
So it's like, I want to be where the money resides. There's like this guy out there with this new meme about, he was selling a car actually, and he was like, be where the money resides. So like, you got to do what's profitable. I mean, aside from that, like, you're a dentist, like you said, you should be able to do extractions and root canals. I don't see, if you don't have the skill set, okay, take more continuing education and training to be able to do that. I agree with you. I feel that it's important for us to be able to treat the entire patient, whatever we diagnose. Now, of course, there are certain cases that may be more complicated and you do require referral to a specialist. I'll be honest, I do RCT from bicuspid to anterior, and then I extract pretty much everything except for like really complicated impacted molars. But I tried to pick at least one or the other and do some of the root canals. I don't like root canals, but I can do effectively, confidently bicuspid to anterior. If I do a molar, it's going to take me 3 hours. That's not profitable for me in my office. But extractions, I can do them really quick, get them taken care of. Patients come here for wisdom teeth extractions all the time. Pick something, do it well, and if you have to do a little bit of some of the other things, okay, great. But I don't think it's fair for you to completely ixnay all of the root canals and extractions and then only do crown and bridge, because then you have to send patients everywhere and you lose their trust in the process, and it's not really good business in my opinion. So there's that.
I got to tell you something. I had a challenging morning. I had to fire my cross-eyed dental assistant because I found out she was seeing the patient on the side.
Oh, my Lord.
Oh, my God, that's a good joke. I love that joke. But I want you to switch gears. The one thing I noticed about the DSOs, and again, our Governor Ducey made a law that if you're licensed to do anything in any other state, you can do it in Arizona. And the impetus of that was actually registered nurses. When Ducey found out they were going to Ireland to recruit registered nurses and move them all the way to. He said, "This is insane." And then when he found out that most of the registered nurses say, "Well, I would love to move there, but I'm in Texas and I don't want to take the boards and all, you know." So,
Mhm.
but what the trade off of that is 18 out of every 100 dentists in Arizona work for a DSO. It's ground zero. It's exploding. It's big. But I noticed these big DSOs. My God, you go look at their corporate sheet. They got a dozen people that are just in patient dentist recruitment, trying to
Mhm.
hire dentists. It's why they stopped going into the rural area, because they can't get young single dentists who want to dress up like a peacock and go find a primate to mate with and have children. You can't do that in Eloy, Arizona. You want to be in Phoenix. You need to increase your odds that you can get one person drunk enough to say yes. So they've written off the rural and they're staying urban, but they're massively recruiting, and I associate that with marketing. The greatest dental offices didn't build themselves on marketing; they built themselves on patient retention. I mean, drive from here to Vegas and look at that Hoover Dam. Just one little dam, not letting any of those new patients out the back door, and you can't swim across that lake. And so I always think to myself, well, why do you have 10 employees trying to recruit dentists? How many employees do you have trying to find out why the last 10 quit?
Right.
And, you know, on Dental Town, it's always the same thing. And some of it, it made me think of you because you're in this ministry of dentistry and you have a mission, all that. A dentist was on the show and he said that this person came in and they were doing the filling and they were really poor and a lot of crap went wrong in their life. And he felt so sorry for it. He said, "You know what? Well, I have this tooth numb. I'm going to do the filling in front of it and behind it, but it's no charge." And the
Mhm.
office manager said, "No." He's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. You're telling me I'm a doctor? I can't do a free filling on this patient I'm only doing dentistry on?" And she said, "No." He left. He quit. He said, "You know, when your office won't let you do free dentistry on the poor, it's not." But, and then another one is they love these temp agencies. That's another thing. Dental recruiting and temp agencies are exploding. And it's like a crack epidemic because these dentists are saying, "You know, I had this really tough case on Friday and it was a molar root canal and it was on the top or the back or whatever, and they're scared and they worried about it all night, and they go in there and they find out that their one assistant they've been working with for 6 months, he gets a temp today. So he gets to do this scary root canal with someone he couldn't even pick out of a police lineup." And I'm like, so I want to hear from you. What advice would you give, not just to DSOs, but to any owner operator dentist who has an associate, being much closer to you used to being one than say I was with Ed Silker in 1987. What
Uh,
advice would you give them to make dentist associate employees happier and stay longer and not jump from job to job?
Let them have a voice. I mean, it's their license. You're making money off of their license. Now, granted, you don't make a lot of money off of an associate if they're not, working as hard as you are. But at the same time, they have a say because it's their license. So, you know, of course, you're running your practice and you want to make sure that you're doing everything the way that you want as the practice owner. But at the same time, you're bringing this person into your household. It's like getting married. You're dating this person. Potentially, you may work with them forever or it may be a short period of time, but you want them to have a voice. I feel that if more new dentists have a voice and a say, or you at least include them on the conversations relative to the day-to-day practice, you would have more dentists feeling comfortable and confident with staying in associateships. I know for me, in every associateship that I've had, and I had a lot, and I did not want to have a lot. The first job I had, I wanted to stay forever until I started my practice. But not having a say definitely puts you in a position to where you feel like you're working in a dental mill, or you're just an errand boy or errand girl, if you will, just doing things that people tell you to do, and then that's it. You don't If you speak up, then you know you're creating problems or you're not a team player. If everyone would, as practice owners, and I have a desire to one day have an associate as well, I would want to make sure that my associate feels heard and that they have a seat at the table to be able to make decisions and to discuss day-to-day operations. And that includes if they want to be able to give back, or any marketing ideas that they may have, or if they have a different way that they need their schedule to be, or treatment planning, those type of things, and just working hand in hand to create a family environment.
And what letter grade would you give that family environment today in your average associate? I mean, do you think they're kind of close? Do you think they got a long way to go? What letter grade would you give them?
I would say it's a long way to go because right now I see for my age group, my generation, there's a lot of DSOs out there, and there's disconnect between the doctor and the actual organization in and of itself. And sometimes, there's just it's a top-down approach versus it being like we're on the same page. The altruistic approach is null right now. So I feel that if more people would think about that, especially if DSOs are going to be becoming more, I don't think that they're going to take over dentistry, but if there's going to be more of them, they need to start considering that as their way of being able to, reach an associate. If you want an associate to stay, and you don't want to constantly have to recruit people, then you might want to listen to what the associate has to say.
And again, I don't like to pick on DSOs because we don't know what goes on behind closed doors. I mean, and whenever I meet a kid 5 years out of school, they've usually had 5 different jobs 5 years out of school. I mean, you'll never meet one that got out of school, worked someplace 5 years. I mean, that's very, very rare. It's just it's the norm. It's not the deal. But I think that the DSOs, when you listen to them talk and you listen to their lectures and all that kind of stuff, they really think that they'll even say, they'll say, well, one of these DSOs is going to be Walgreens, it's probably going to be Heartland, and one's going to be CVS, it'll probably be Aspen, and they'll probably have 85% of the market in 10 or 20 years. And I just think, okay, so when they come out of school, you got 6,000 graduates a year. It takes them 5 years of working for all of you to realize they'd rather just quit and work at Taco Bell than do that. So you got 6,000 times 5, you got 30,000 to play with. And I don't think you have, I mean, they're looking at 150,000 dentists are all going to compete over. I think they're disillusioned by the 30,000 that they get to play with. And being here in Arizona is always the same complaint. Well, I went in there and the dentist said I had 4 fillings. And so I made an appointment. I went back to have them done. And that dentist no longer works there. And then the new dentist said that I had 6 fillings. And then I got a second opinion and she said I had 3. And it's like,
Yeah.
dude, you're a dental office, and Walgreens is automated in France with an ATM machine made right here in Scottsdale. It blew my mind when I was there. This dentist was telling me, well, their insurance card, they load the prescription on the card, and then that patient takes it to an ATM machine, sticks it in, a bottle comes down, pills out of a hopper, a label comes on, open up. And I'm looking at this machine, and then I look at it and it says, because we're going to get the name of it, it's publicly traded, whatever, and it's Scottsdale, Arizona. So when I get back here and then I call them, they go, oh, yeah, the whole Walgreens pharmacy, the whole damn deal is a racket set up by the government and the state boards that if you want 28 tabs of penicillin, you're going to pay one of our boys money to count them out. And dentistry is guilty of that crime, too, because if there are, when before they set the state boards, in 1900, healthcare wasn't even 1% of the economy. You had doctors moving here from every corner of the earth, and there wasn't a problem finding a doctor or paying for one. But when they started setting up the control system to get rid of competition, and they always start out, well, we're just doing it to protect you. And that's what mob does. Mob, you pay for protection. You don't realize you're getting paid protection by Guido. But the bottom line is, I just think that it's the same thing in marketing. You look at the dental marketing. None of the advanced Fortune 500 companies do, like a dentist will do a new patient clean exam and X-ray, but all the advanced companies like Southwest Airlines and Chase, it's all rewarding their existing customers.
Right.
All their marketing and dollars spent is rewarding customers for life. A dentist is just trying to get them in the door one time, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, make as much money as you can and run. And dentistry needs to do a lot less marketing and a lot more investing in why did this patient leave the last. I mean, they don't even ask them psychographics. Like I always ask every new patient, well, did you just move to Arizona? Welcome to Arizona. No, I've lived here 10 years. Oh my God, you haven't been to the dentist in 10 years? No, you're the 3rd dentist I got to in Arizona. Okay, well, I don't need to know their names or anything, but why did you not go back there? And they always tell you. And the dentist listens to that and says, well, I don't want to do that. I'd just rather have some banner ad meme on Facebook and get a new patient. And it's all about customers for life. I mean, hell, I got a patient from an endodontist in this town because he doesn't have nitrous. And I'm like, you're an endodontist. You're not a massage therapist, you idiot. I mean, how the hell could you be an endodontist and not have heard about nitrous oxide and know that some people really like it? I mean, it's a commitment for customers' life or marketing for life. And so what has worked? But when you start out, you don't have any patients word of mouth referral. So when you start out a new practice, what marketing worked for you to get patients in the door for the first time, and then later try to keep them for life? But what's working for you for new patients?
Initially, I was doing a lot of Facebook marketing. So weekly, I would get on Facebook and do like Talk Tuesdays. When I was first starting the practice, before I even saw my first patient, I was going live and showing the progress in the renovations to the building and things like that. But Facebook marketing was a big thing, going on every week and just doing the talk and sharing with the patients my insight on dental care. Simple topics such as why a patient may need a dental crown, or what is traumatic occlusion, things like that, to help patients to be educated and also share some of the services and benefits that we have here at our office. And that spread like wildfire. By our 1-year anniversary, we started off very slow in June and July of 2019, but then by June of 2020, despite the pandemic, we were averaging about 60 new patients a month. That's kind of tapered out to like about 45 to 50, but my patients are being retained and they're accepting treatment. And we now have a VIP program to reward those patients who spread or refer other patients to us. And we have a lot of families. I see a great grandmother of one of my patients, and then her children. So like things like that. So I feel that my philosophy or my mission to be able to provide care for multi-generational families for a lifetime is becoming realistic for me, in that families are referring their family members and their friends. But it started off with social media, and now it's just taking good care of people.
You wrote an amazing book, Empower Now: True Stories from 14 Young Minority Professionals, Volume 1. And tell us about that book and that journey. You've had a baby. I've written a couple books. I always said that writing a book is like making a baby. I mean, it takes 9 months and it's not easy, and you're pregnant the whole time. What did you think of the journey writing a book? And that's volume 1. Is there going to be a volume 2, or did you learn your lesson for life and said, and what about your own baby? Are you thinking, is your Brereton your one of one, or is it one of more to come? And same with the book, babies and books. Are you done?
So I'll answer the baby question first. So the baby, I'm a believer in God. When it's time again, it'll be time again. We're not preventing. So Lord willing, whenever that time comes, I'll have some good news to share. I'll be back on and let you know. But as far as the book is concerned, Amber Robbins, she's an MD. She's a very well-known dentist. Physician. I'm not sure what state she lives in. I think she's in the Midwest, but we collaborated through an online group called Women in White Coats. And from that group, there was another group called Young Black American Doctors. And she kind of invited some of us to partake in the book. And so I was actually a contributing author. It's not my book per se, but I was a contributing author, so co-author. I do have a book in the works, though. But as far as that process was concerned, just basically being able to share my story as a triple minority. I'm not only a Black woman, as you can see, but I'm also left-handed. That is like huge bearings in dentistry, believe it or not. My mom, actually, when I was applying to dental school, she was like, they let left-handed people in? And I was like, yes, they do. We get ostracized, but yes, they do. So I even had some jobs that discriminated against me because I was left-handed, because they had rear delivering or fixed right delivering units, and it didn't work out for me because I wasn't able to maneuver properly. And so, there's some challenges that come with it, but ultimately at the end of the day, you make do with what you have, and here I am. So I don't feel that any of my sort of disadvantages have caused me to live a disadvantaged life. I'm happily married. I have a home out in Surprise, and I have a practice here in Phoenix, and I enjoy my life. And I think that, of course, there's student loan debt and there's other responsibilities, but I live a full life, and I'm grateful for everything that I have. And there's no mountain too high for me to climb.
So the book on Amazon, it only has 5-star reviews. It says Empower Now tells the true stories of 14 young minority Black professionals and their journeys to success. Through both obstacles and victories, they were able to fulfill their dreams. In their stories, you will find helpful tips, inspiring quotes, and life lessons coming from individuals in various fields, including medicine, education, engineering, and dentistry. Just like they are fulfilling their dreams, you can too. It's time for you to be empowered now. Where does your? I mean, when I listen to you, anything, everything about you just reeks of like motivation. You go, girl. You're ready to go. Where does that come from, as opposed to your friends in dental school who just thought the whole world sucked and there was nothing you can do and we're all gonna die? You know, where does this optimism come from, where you want to rise to the challenge as opposed to running and hiding in the bottom of the Grand Canyon?
I'm naturally hard-headed. No, just kidding. That's my mom or dad, right? But no, my mother, she was a single parent. My parents divorced when I was 7 years old. She has like such grit, and she's just a go-getter. She raised 3 children by herself, with the support of my grandparents and my aunts and uncles here. But she worked hard at it, and she dedicated us to God. But she was like, I'm going to do everything I can, and trust that they're going to be great people. And I'm a dentist. My older brother, he's a judge here in Arizona. My younger brother, he's a teacher. And I give props to my mom. She's such a hard worker, and she instilled that in me. And me being the only girl, I didn't have a choice. Like, my punishments weren't, you go stand in the corner. My punishments were, you go write an essay, or you go do a report on this, or write sentences. And she just really, everything that she did in raising us was methodical to help us to be well-rounded people. And so I attribute all of the optimism and the ability to rise to the occasion to her. And then, of course, being given that, I took advantage of the opportunity and listened to her advice and made sure that I didn't have to experience it in order for me to, learn the lesson. I took every lesson that she learned in her struggles and throughout life, and tried to make sure that I didn't have to go through those same things and repeat those same mistakes. So um, most definitely feel that it's definitely got me to where I'm at. And despite, obstacles that I personally had to encounter, I was able to, face them head on. And there wasn't always victory. Sometimes I had failures, but ultimately, I persevered.
When you were in dental school, did you steal? I mean, when I went to dental school, anybody would say it was mostly a man's profession.
Mhm.
But when you were in dental school, did you still think it was more a man's profession, or had it already made a huge shift towards womanhood?
It was 2 to 1 or 3 to 1, I think, in my class. There was 3 men to every 1 woman, so it wasn't a lot of us. Um, and then I was the first Black student of my university, so it was challenging. Just because sometimes instructors would make certain remarks that you're like, eh. And one time I had someone, it wasn't someone from my university that I attended, but I did an internship somewhere, and they were like, the preceptor was like, why would you choose hygiene? Why do you have to have your cake and eat it too? Or why didn't you choose hygiene? Why do you have to have your cake and eat it too? And I was like, that is so sexist. So I feel like I had a lot of, discrimination in that regard. Even with pumping, when I first had my son and I was an associate, I had to pump breast milk because I breastfed him for 2 years. And, they wanted to put me in the bathroom. And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna, would you eat your lunch next to the toilet? Like, no. Just things like that. Of course, there's been issues with me being left-handed, like I said earlier, and being a minority in race, being a Black woman, had its challenges as well. But being a woman in general, like, I think in this profession, we're seeing it evolve to where there's equal representation, but there's still, some things that have to change from the good old boys club when it comes to the profession of dentistry. Even with business ownership, everyone's always like, oh, you have your own practice? Oh, how do you do that? Well, the same way you do it, I just have to go cook dinner when I get home. But I embrace all my roles equally, and I'm grateful to have a husband who supports me in that, and a mom who showed me how to do it. So
And this is why when anybody tells me how great America is, you always know one thing. Okay, they've never seen another country, and my gosh, I remember the first time I stayed in Poland and Hong Kong and a couple other deals where I'm watching a commercial. It was a washing machine commercial, and here we are in Poland where I went there and knew it was 98% Catholic, and the girl's doing the commercial. I don't know what she's saying. I don't speak Polish, but she's topless at her washing machine pouring the soap in, and I saw it in Hong Kong and Shenzhen. And here in America, if you have a film where somebody has an AK-47 and Rambo shoots 100 people, it's a family film. But God forbid someone whip out a mammary gland, which
Right.
is used to feed her offspring, and they run for the doors. When I hear people get mad about nursing in public, it's hard for me just not to just unload on them. Like, are you that stupid? How could
Right.
a body part that created life be hide from it, but an AK-47 and a grenade? And I mean, how many people are killed in the average Arnold Schwarzenegger film?
Right.
100. But God, a mammary gland? I mean, we got to draw the line somewhere, and I think the areolar complex is where we're going to draw that line. I mean, people are just insane. The older I get, the more I'm beginning to realize that I'm probably the only normal person on Earth. And it's I mean, imagine the weight of living alone as the only intelligent person left on Earth. I mean, they're just crazy. Um,
Right.
and I feel sorry for that. But I got to tell you my breast pump story because it was 87, and I had this hygienist. I don't want to say her name because she might get mad. And I went in there on the weekend, and I thought, our lab area, it's so dirty. I'm going to clean all up. And I'm cleaning this stuff up, and I found this thing, and I'm like, what the hell is that? And it looked old, and it's like, I don't even know what that is. And I threw that away Monday morning. Oh, my God, 8 o'clock.
Oh,
Where's my breast pumping machine? And I'm like, I don't know. I didn't even know that's what it was. And then who cleaned out the office? Oh, I did on Sunday. And luckily, the trash man hadn't come on the Monday yet. And they went out there and found the damn thing. But I didn't even know she was doing it. That's how secretive a deal it was,
yeah.
But my gosh, this country's got so long to go to grow up. So did you like writing the book? Did you, was it a good experience?
It definitely was, especially to share with other writers. And then actually the process of doing the book sales and how we went about that was pretty cool as well. But I plan on writing my own now. I feel like I got a little taste of what it's like, and I definitely have some ideas and different things that I'm working on currently. So um, you'll just look out for that.
And you talk on a lot of topics. I mean, you speak on my gosh, overcoming anxiety, overcoming the odds, introverted and successful, mother-daughter issues, letting go of the past, accepting yourself, moving on after a breakup, self-employed. I mean, you so many of
Yeah,
these things. It makes me think that you're massively grounded.
I agree. I think I am. I'm kind of biased, but yes, I definitely feel that I am.
And would you say that grounding came from just well read and you just read everything you get your hands on, or was it the school of hard knocks?
I would say it's a combination of both. Some of the hard knocks I experienced had nothing to do with my own decision making, but just the cards that I was handed. But um, the the being well read came from my thirst for knowledge at a young age because of my mom. That was our discipline, but then I actually started liking it, right? And so I just I used to journal as well, and I think that helped as well to be able to express myself and learn how to process certain experiences and use it as a way to be able to help other people. My husband always says we go through things not for ourselves but to help other people, and so that's basically what I do. I feel like my life is a book, and I can use my stories to help anyone in any phase of life, whether it be someone who's in professional school to become a dentist or someone who just barely can make it out of high school. I think that we all have lessons in life and we are gifted with opportunities to be able to give back. And that's kind of what I feel like my life purpose and mission is.
Wow, that's amazing. So during this pandemic, I'll never forget when I was podcast interviewing the president of the ADA, and the last thing when I said, so obviously, so what's on your mind now? Obviously, it's a pandemic, dumbass. I mean, obviously that, and he blew my mind. He went right to suicide. That this pandemic is. I read in Arizona that they're having 3 times the domestic violence calls. And usually when dentists off themselves, I mean, every year that I've been here in Arizona, I know of at least one, sometimes two or three. And usually it's multifactorial. A lot of times it's economic, they lost a lover, there's substance abuse, there's mental health issues. But now it just seems like there's just like totally normal people that just seem happy and successful, and kids and husband, the all-American dream, and they just off themselves. What would you say to that during a pandemic? And then more in general, dentists have always report that they're burned out, that it's so stressful, and they just one guy, I was lecturing in St. Louis, and this guy said that his biggest regret in life, his brother became a plumber, and he always wishes to hell he'd have been smart enough to be a plumber. I'm like, you're a doctor of dental surgery, and you wish you could have been a plumber? I mean, what would you say to those people?
I think that prioritizing yourself, because you're no good if you can't take care of yourself. Like, I feel like we give so much in our profession as dentists, and just being as selfless people, and having a desire to give back to the community. Because dentistry, regardless of the payment and things like that, we are service providers. We provide healthcare to those that are in need, people that are in pain, people who have fears and anxieties. But before we provide that care to other people, we have to provide care to our own selves. I think a lot of times we like prioritize family, and even family sometimes can get in the way of us being able to take care of ourselves. So prioritizing self-care and making sure that you're getting help mentally as well. I went through a season really bad last year because I had lost quite a few relatives to COVID and other reasons. And just started questioning like existence and things like that, just getting deep in thought. And I realized like, okay, I need to talk to someone. And just like if you have, a situation where, like you said, used earlier, a broken arm, you don't just let the arm be broken and then walk around and expect that it's going to heal properly without taking the necessary precautions. You go to the doctor, they may put a cast on it, they fixate the bones where they need to go so that it can heal properly. Sometimes you need that mentally too. So my therapist helps me to be able to process what's going on and what's going on around me and within me, to be able to see the world in a different view, to where I'm not, looking at it from, a dysfunctional standpoint that will basically not cloud me from making better decisions, or keep me from being able to have a hope or a desire to live. One of my best friends, she just lost her cousin a couple of weeks ago. He was 8 years old, and he committed suicide. And maybe he's 10, but he was a very young kid. And I always think, like, why would a young child commit suicide? But a lot of times when people are in that stage, they feel like there's no more hope, and I feel that we have to take care of ourselves and know that, that there's always hope, and that sometimes it's just better for you to step away and get that necessary support for your mental health. And you'll thank yourself later, because then you'll be better for your family, you'll be better for your practice, and for your spouse and everyone else.
And it's also multifactorial. Like I've read papers. They had one out of Canada where they took 100 people, the last 100 people, because how you pick your sample size is just as important. How you pick your sample size is important as the size. But anyway, they did 100, and 15% of them had a viral infection in their brain that had stopped the serotonin. And so it's always Occam's razor. It's always they lost their job, they killed themselves. Connect the dots. When with humans are so complex, it's always multifactorial. Genetics, viruses, bacteria. I mean, we oversimplify things until they don't even make sense anymore. But gosh darn, it's really a complex issue. It's kind of sad. So what is your So we're in this new year. Last year was 2020. It was kind of dead on arrival. And we're done with that. And now we've kind of gone through the first month. Everyone wants me to ask my guest, would you, Dr. Jess B., would you take the vaccine today?
Not yet. Not today. Not yet. Right this moment, not yet. The reason being is I feel that in addition to me doing my own research and trying to get a better understanding about it, I feel that there are other people who have more of a risk than I do who still haven't gotten it yet. I have physicians who work in the ER that still haven't gotten it yet. I feel that it needs to go through the proper channels to make sure that everyone receives it who are in a position where they're at most risk. But in addition to that, I feel that if anyone gets the vaccine, you have to make sure you understand exactly what's going on. You want to be well read. You want to understand the side effects. You want to understand the research behind it. You want to understand a little bit about virology and not just like jump to conclusions and be spoon fed. And that's with everything, not just the vaccine. That's with food. That's with whatever you put into your body. But I'm, as far as I'm concerned personally, right now, I'm not ready yet.
And do you think getting ready is around the corner, or do you think it's a long way off?
I don't think it's a long way off. I think it's more or less just me trying to see what's happening. I have a lot of friends throughout the country who I'm seeing how they're operating in their states, and some people are just not even getting distribution yet, and they're at high risk, or they're in populations where they're working in the hospital. I have an uncle who works in a hospital. He's not providing care. He's actually like a security guard. He got he didn't get the vaccine. He got COVID-19, and those people are not even really getting the vaccine. So I don't know. I just trying to see and better understand. Like I think now with new administration, I don't know what's going to happen with distribution. I would hope that it would get better. I don't know. But right now, I feel that there wasn't really a true plan statewide and nationally and how distribution were to take place, even though they have those tiers. Because I know people who don't even work with patients who got the vaccine already. And then there's people who need it who didn't get it. So I'm just waiting to see kind of how the organization happens within the next few months and then go from there.
Yeah, you don't even want to hear my thoughts on this, but I voted for the first time in 1980 when I graduated from high school. That's when I was of age, and now the last one was 2020, so 40 years. And and I don't want to get off into politics because they don't like it when you talk about religion, sex, politics, and violence. So let's do all four at once. Every new president's only job is to make you miss the last one. It's like they've been walking down a stairway for 40 years, 10 steps down every 4 years. And I'm just like, okay, no one's going to be worse than this guy. And the next one's worse. And then no one's going to be, and it's the highway to hell at the U.S. presidency.
Yeah.
I mean, and only the young are optimists, like, oh, the next one, they're going to be so good. And I'm just like biting my finger, like, sorry, are you like real little? Are you in grammar school? Because they all are horrible. They all, when they're lying, their lips are moving. And it's
Right.
just, my gosh. So, but are you, do you think 2021 is going to be are you more optimistic on 2021 than, last year? I mean, do you think this year's going to be better than last year? Are you optimistic? What challenges do you see around the corner for you?
I feel like it can be. It's just hard to feel that you can plan because, like, I'm a big planner. I'm a girl that carries this, colorful planner with all the stickers and, the washi tape. And 2020 just made me burn it. Like, I was just like, what? I don't need one. 2021, I didn't even buy a calendar because I was just like, I don't want to plan. And then the whole year falls apart. But I do have some optimism for this year. I don't really know where to place it. I'm just hoping that in some aspects things will be better. Like I know for a fact that, I anticipate that in dentistry things will be better because patients are not afraid to come to the dental office now. They've come in to get their cleaning. We're not viewed as like, we're all going to die because we work in dentistry as it was when we first encountered the pandemic back in March of last year. I think people are a little bit more comfortable with coming into the office, especially because we have our protocols. As far as like regular day-to-day life, I hope that, with other measures being taken in addition to the vaccine, that, people will, I hope that it's resolved. I really, honestly, it's so early. It's too early to tell. I would say by 2022, I anticipate life being relatively back to normal, and that's all. I'll leave it at that. By June, I can't really say. I won't be able to tell. I guess we'll have to see.
Well, that is true. When you start doing planning, I mean, once you get out on beyond 5 years, I mean, my God, we won't even know what the stock market will be trading at next week, let alone 5 years. I hope that I can't believe we went over an hour. My gosh, that was the fastest hour of my life.
It's
It
like an
really
hour and a
was.
half.
Oh my God. So go to Amazon, and by the way, I'm going to push that book out, Empower Now: True Stories. And I'm wondering, I wonder do you have I wonder which thread would be like. I guess the book thread. Do you think the book thread is the
Yeah.
best one?
Yeah, we can do book thread.
Yeah. I'm, Oprah had a book club. I told my boys all the time. By the way, don't take any advice on raising children from me, but I did take it very serious. And all I want to say to young kids like you is, think of how many books we read to become a dentist. And they had just come out with that new Amazon thing, selling books and all this. But I would go and going to Catholic school, you always do your author search first, and then your book deal. But I only made boys. I only made 4 boys. I never made a girl. But anytime any PhD with any resume wrote a book on raising young boys, I read it. And, all leaders are readers. And that's what I got to say is that take your child more serious than a root canal. If you read Pathways to the Pole by Stephen Cohen, you got to read one book by a doctor on raising a baby. And then when they were older, these are things I read. We did DEAR. Well, every day, drop everything and read 1 hour. And we'd all do it together. And then for business, this is what my boys whenever they'd want to do something, like they'd want to go to Disneyland, or they'd want to buy some Nike shoes or anything commercial like that, I'd say, well, did the Tooth Fairy make those shoes? Was it the Easter Bunny? Who made those Nike shoes? And they knew where I was going. They go, well, is his name Mr. Nike? And I'd say, no, it's not. He was a track coach, like your track coach at school, and he was in Oregon. And so then we would read the biography, and I'd buy him each 1 share of the company. Because then if you buy a share, they had to send you the quarterly earnings. If we're going to go to Disneyland, we bought a share of Disney. And I always tried to connect the product or service they liked with the human who's gone and no longer with us, who brought this to it. And you learned that they were all very complicated people too. I mean, Henry Ford and Disney, I mean, the other parts of their lives that were just shockingly horrible and embarrassing and all that stuff. People are just, and so they get to learn, not that their idols walk on water, but their idols are human too, and their idols did really good in this department, but they really screwed up in other departments. And then what was the last thing I was going to say? Oh, and this is what I went here because of your resume, where you said you love to travel. And my boys still say all the time, you ended your biography with enjoy spending time with their family, which includes their husband, son, and their puppy, Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. They enjoy traveling the world, exploring the outdoors, and then performing arts. And I'll tell you what, all 4 of my boys always tell me all the time that they take everything they learned in college compared to going with dad to lecture in 50 countries. And they said there's no comparison. They woke up to planet Earth by getting out of the country you're born. Where you were born is going to determine your language, your religion, your food, your culture, your thoughts. I mean, I always jokingly say that all thoughts are sexually transmitted diseases because they're mostly correlated to when and where you were exactly born. And them meeting dentists that were well-read, that were friends with their father in these different countries, so that we could have conversations, so we could talk about the not so good stuff about America and their country, and how the whole world, you go back 5,000 years. I mean, we get better every century, but it's always 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But just take all that pitch was about is make sure you take baby Brereton with you on those international trips, because when he's an old man someday, he's going to say, where I learned that? When my mama took me, just get him out of the United States. And if you've never left the United States, I don't even want to hear any of your thoughts or opinions, because it's a sexually transmitted disease. You were born in Kansas. What else would you think? I mean, when you're born in a certain town, that's how you think. So get the hell out of there and go meet someone from another town. But Jessica, I know you're busy as hell. It was over your lunchtime, and I took an hour and a half of your lunchtime. Thank you so much. I think you're amazing, and you're one of dentistry's 1,000 points of light, and it's always so fulfilling when you're an old dentist getting ready to go out to see that will be replaced by someone much more beautiful, smart, charming, intelligent. I mean, so thank you for all that you do for dentistry.
Thank you. Obviously, that coming from you is that's a lot. So I appreciate that so much. And thank you for the opportunity to be able to speak with you today. I've been a fan of yours for a long time. So this was really awesome to be able to talk to you.
Right on. Well, you have a good day.
All right, you too. Thank you again.